I'd like to call the meeting to order and thank everyone for their attendance. We will begin our meeting with the invocation by the Reverend Ralph Rowley, Senior Pastor of Virginia Beach United Methodist Church. If Reverend Rowley would come forward, if everyone would stand for the invocation and remain standing after the invocation for the Pledge of Allegiance. Reverend, thanks for coming down.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we give you thanks for this night and for this holy season, which by its return awakens the deepest longings of our hearts. During this holy season, people of all faiths long for every hurt to be healed, every tear to be dried, and every injustice to be made right. Where there is division, we long for unity. Where there is hostility, we long for resolution. And where there is separation, we long for reunion. Grant us, O God, these the longings of our hearts. Tonight as we gather, we pray for the people of Paris and the people of San Bernardino, whose lives have been tragically shaken by acts of hatred and violence waged against ordinary citizens going about the ordinary routines of life. Comfort the families of those whose loved ones were cut short. Heal the wounds of those who were injured and the emotional scars of those who escaped without physical injury, but whose wounds are just as real. Cause these events to unite us as a nation and as a world community to stand against hatred, evil, and violence in whatever form they present themselves. Save us from fear that divides us from one another, destroying the very fabric of our nation. Save us also from those who would exploit our fears for selfish gain, sowing seeds of distrust and pitting neighbor against neighbor. On this night, when important decisions must be made, give wisdom to the members of our city council that their decisions would best serve the interests of our city and its citizens. Help us all to put aside self-interest in the pursuit of the common good. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with clarity and restraint. Help us to see the humanity and dignity of those with whom we may disagree. And grant to each of us the resolve to work together to build a community that is a true reflection of your will for all your children. All this we ask in your most precious name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reverend, thank you again for coming down. We certainly do appreciate it. I also, Council, would like to recognize Pack 471 of the Boy Scouts. If they would stand and be recognized, please. Give them a round of applause. We're delighted to have you here. You have the roll call, Madam Clerk? Yes, Your Honor. All members Council, I am going to get away from the agenda for just a few minutes, if I may. I think we all know that this is the last meeting that Mr. Spoor will be attending with us, and we have a few things that we would like to present to him. And Jim, if I could ask you to come over here, please. And I also want to let you know that we have the pleasure of Mrs. Spoor in the audience tonight. And we want to welcome Joan. She's been a big part. Well, everywhere Jim Spoor goes, Joan is gone. And she wanted to come and see what a boring job you had tonight. And so that's why she's here. My wife came with her just to keep her, occupied. But it is my pleasure. Let me present this to you, and then I'm going to read it to you, okay? Thank you, I'm going to use the big reading. Whereas James K. Spoor was named City Manager of Virginia Beach in November of 1991 and has served in that capacity for 24 of his 50 years in public service. Whereas he earned a Master's of Public Administration from the University of Colorado and both a Bachelor and Master of Urban Planning from the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana. He worked with the Department of Defense as a research analyst. Whereas he entered public service as Director of Community Development for Lakewood, Colorado, then Elgin, Illinois, served as City Manager of Garland, Texas, and Burnsville, Minnesota. Whereas in 2010, he received the International City Managers Association Award for Career Excellence in honor of Mark E. Keene, which recognizes an outstanding chief local government administrator who who has fostered representative democracy by enhancing the effectiveness of local elected officials and by consistently initiating creative and successful programs. Whereas Jim is a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners, the American Planning Association, the American Society for Public Administration, the Alliance for Innovation, and the International City Managers Association. Whereas Jim ascribes to our community success during his tenure to three things: a well-educated and forward-looking citizenry, a city council that has had the courage to create a vision with specific goals for the community, a highly professional staff and volunteer workforce that are aligned with the city council's vision and dedicated to its achievement. Whereas all the accolades accumulated during his service can be attributed to his commitment to devoting his talents and energy to assist this community in improving the quality of life for all of our citizens and his dedication to public service. Whereas Jim supports and encourages regionalism, serving on the executive boards of the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission, the Hampton Roads Partnership, and the Reinvent Hampton Roads. Whereas under Jim's leadership, economic development has soared and tourism has flourished, providing revenue that keeps the tax burden one of the lowest in the nation for our citizens. In addition, the city's Striving for Excellence program saves millions in tax dollars annually through quality and productivity efforts, and as a result, Virginia Beach has the lowest tax burden among the major cities in Hampton Roads. Jim's support of sister cities has truly encouraged international relationships with world democracy and peace and understanding. And getting heavy. Whereas our partnership with Jim has produced significant quantifiable results, such as the Lake Gaston Water Supply Project, redevelopment of the resort area, including the new boardwalk, the Big Beach Hurricane Protection Project, the 31st Street Hotel, public parking and park, and the Alaskan Gateway, Town Center, including the Sandler Center, Princess Anne Commons, including Hampton Roads Soccer Complex, ODU and SU Higher Education Center, Sportsplex, relocated Princess Anne Park and ball fields, the amphitheater, healthcare complex, advanced technology center, health professions building, science building, student activities center, and joint use library on the TCC campus, LifeNet, Operation Smile headquarters, Virginia Beach Fieldhouse, Virginia Beach National Golf Course, YMC Tide Swimming Complex, and Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters, AAA bond rating from all three financial rating agencies, dozens of roadway projects, including the replacement of the Lesnar Bridge, numerous school renovations replacements, public safety improvements, including 7 fire and EMS stations, 2 police precincts, and the emergency communication centers, iFly mixed-use and public parking structure, an expanded Virginia Aquarium, and the Museum of Contemporary Art, the decision to extend light rail transit to Town Center, creation of a system of first-class libraries, recreation centers, and parks, and the restoration of the iconic Cavalier Hotel. Whereas these achievements resulted from our ability to collaboratively set goals and develop effective partnerships between the government, the nonprofit community, and the private sector. These and many other achievements have been recognized by too many organizations and rating mythologies to mention here. Whereas on this day, we honor a man who deserves our deepest gratitude, respect, and friendship for all that he has done for each of us and for the city of Virginia Beach. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Virginia Beach City Council hereby express its appreciation to James K. Moore for his outstanding contributions to our city and extends its congratulations on the occasion of his retirement from government service. And folks, in addition to that, I also would like to give Jim his certificate of achievement. James Case for retirement, 24 years. Thank you for your commitment and dedication. Your contributions have been important to the success of Virginia Beach. And the pen. Thank you. Mr. Spoor, it's yours.
I'm sorry to take everyone's time, but I just did want to say a couple of things and express my appreciation to council, number one, for the resolution. It's very, very important, and I appreciate it so much. I just wanted to say how rapidly this last 24 years has gone by. I look back on it, and it does not seem possible. And I think It's just been a highlight, so many highlights of the professional experience that I've had have happened right here in Virginia Beach. And the reason that they have happened here is because of the leadership we've had in this community. And I mentioned it last night. We are blessed as a community to have elected leaders that really care about this place and are willing to come together and set an agenda and establish a vision for the staff to accomplish. And so without that, we would not have been able to accomplish any of those things that the mayor read off. And I do want to point out that it's obvious that every one of those accomplishments, there are literally dozens, if not hundreds, of people involved in those efforts, and they really are going to make a difference in the city. So I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank you for your support of the staff and confidence in the staff. It's really allowed us to pursue that vision. Tonight marks 1,152 meetings.
Who's counting?
Yeah, I actually counted those up. And I just want to remember some people that are not here tonight. 5 members of the city council that hired me in 1991 are not with us. And so I want to reflect on John Baum, Bob Clyburn, Robert Fentress, who was the vice mayor at the time, Harold Highschober, and Myra Obendorf, of course. So those folks were really important to this city as well, and I just wanted to reflect on them for a moment. I'd like to end with the way I started, and this little piece of paper I've carried with me every day for the 24 years I've been here. And it is the Athenian Oath, and it's something that still speaks to me, and I just wanted to read it for everybody because I think it's important for us all to think about our city. We will never disgrace our city by any act of dishonesty or cowardice, nor ever desert our comrades in the ranks. We will fight for the ideals and sacred things of this city, both alone and with many. We will revere and obey the city's laws and do our best to incite a like respect and reverence in those about us. We will strive unceasingly to quicken the public sense of civic duty, and thus in all these ways, we will strive to transmit our city not only less, but greater, better, and more beautiful than it was transmitted to us. So that's what the last 24 years have been about.
Well, we thank you. Okay, do I have a motion for the certification of the closed session for the interview sessions December 2nd, interview session December 4th, interview session December 7th, and the informal and formal session of December 8th?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
There wasn't
one on December 8th.
It was just
Today.
Okay, well, it's, okay, make a note that that wasn't supposed to be there. Okay, any more discussion? Call for the question, please.
By a vote of 11 to 0, you have authorized the closure of this interview sessions as read and the informal session of December the 1st.
Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes of the informal, formal session December 1st?
So moved.
Wait a minute. I've got interview sessions December 2nd, interview session December 4th, and interview session December
Let me
7th.
interrupt you a minute. That is not in your book, I don't think, because we had to take the minutes off. Being that we did not know who would motion the certification, we could not do the minutes. So they will be on the agenda next week.
Okay, so we're not going to do the minutes.
Not the interviews. You will do
Okay,
the minutes
for-
of December the 1st.
For the informal, formal session December 1st, and the interview sessions of December, not the interview sessions at all.
Right.
Informal, formal session December 1st, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the question, please.
By a vote of 11 to 0, you have approved the minutes as submitted for December the 1st.
I will now go to the consent agenda, Mr. Vice Mayor.
First, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for an add-on to the agenda, which is a resolution to appoint Deputy City Manager as Doug Smith as the interim city manager, and that will be item 11 on the under the agenda.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Your
Any-
Honor, would you mind to add the resolution for Mr. Spore as well?
Did we add the resolution for Mr. Spore?
I'll add the resolution.
I'm not voting.
Okay, all right,
I like to divide the question. I'm not voting on that resolution.
okay. The first, we'll do,
Okay, we'll do the one for the interim city manager first.
okay.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Call for the question, please.
By a vote of 11-0, you have approved the add-on of the deputy city manager beginning January 1st, 2016.
And the motion for the add-on for the resolution for Jim Sport A.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Call for the question, please.
By a vote of 10-1, you have approved the add-on of the resolution recognizing Mr. Spore.
Okay, carry on with the agenda, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move for approval under the consent agenda, first under ordinances and resolutions, item I-2, which is to readopt the city's policy reevaluation of economic development investment partnerships. Item 3, which is an ordinance to designate Zyder's American Dream Theater as exempt from local property taxation. And Madam Clerk, if you'll please note that Mr. Moss is voting no on that item.
Yes, Your Honor.
Item 5, which is an ordinance to accept the Virginia Beach Arts Plan 2030. Item 6, ordinance to approve the sale of school board property for Witch Duck Road Phase 2 and allow the school board to retain all sale proceeds. Item 7, an ordinance to authorize temporary encroachments into portions of city-owned property at Pike Inlet Ray Boat Lift at 332 Tuna Lane in the Princess Anne District. Item 8, which is for indefinite deferral, is a resolution to authorize Ray the Old Beach Village LLC apartments at A, B, and C. And item 9 for approval ordinance to provide $790,000 to the Development Authority, Ray the Biomedical Initiative. And Madam Clerk, please note that Mr. Moss is voting no on that item.
Yes, Your Honor.
Item 10, ordinance Ray the Fire Department, Marine Team, accept and appropriate $192,525 in 2015 Port Security Grant Fund from the United States Department of Homeland Security, and B, transfer $64,175 from the Grants Consolidated Fund for the required local match. And item 11, which is the resolution, let me see what I got here.
Well, we just voted on those individually.
We did move.
Yeah.
You only voted-
Open a public hearing on planning.
Mr.
We
Mayor.
voted on, no.
You voted on adding it.
Mr. Moss for, but we didn't vote on Mr. Smith.
You only voted to add them to the agenda.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, you're right. Thank you.
Okay. Item 11, a resolution appointing Douglas L. Smith as acting city manager. Be it resolved, the Council of the City of Virginia Beach, Virginia, pursuant to paragraph 4.01 of the city charter, Douglas L. Smith is hereby appointed as acting city manager effective January 1, 2016. He shall serve in that capacity in such time as a candidate appointed by City Council to serve as city manager begins his or her term of office. Mr. Smith's salary will be increased by 10% for the period of time that he serves as acting city manager. Under planning,
Open a public hearing for planning.
under planning for consent, item J1, which is the application of Donald L. Kessel in the Princess Anne District. Item 2, J2, application of Lina Mercer and 1408 Mill Dam Road LLC in the Lynn Haven District. Item 3, the application of Reed Enterprises, Inc. for a modification of proffers to a conditional rezoning, raise stormwater in the Princess Anne District for deferral to January the 5th is the application of Princess Anne Meadows LLC and 5 Mile Stretch Associates LLC, James T. Cromwell in the Princess Anne District for approval. Item 5, application of MGP Retail Consulting LLC and Mark IV Investments, Inc. in the Princess Anne District. Item 6 for approval, application to Richard W. Booker, trading as Excellence Professional Paint Service in the Rose Hall District. Item 7.
Note that I'm abstaining on that,
And
please.
and Madam Clerk, please note that the mayor is abstaining on item 6.
Yes, Your Honor.
Item 7 is the application of Kevin Jameson and Mission Enterprises LLC in the Beach District. Item 8, the application of Radman Radiological Corp. and John Moeller in the Princess Anne District. And item 9 is the application of R&R of Virginia and Randolph A. Rao Trust in the Beach District. So moved, Mr. Mayor.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Is there any discussion? Yes, sir.
Did you open the public hearing on the tax exemption, Your Honor?
I did not. Open a public hearing on the tax exemption for the Zeta Theater. Is there any speakers?
No, Honor, Your Honor.
Okay.
I have an item. I would just like to amend the motion to include my no vote on item 2. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other discussion? I'll call for the question, please.
By a vote of 11 to 0, with the exception of Mr. Moss's interim, item number 2, voting nay. The mayor's abstentions on the item 6, and Mr. Moss's nay vote on number 3.
Council, I'm going to go to Old Beach Village LLC. That was on consent to be deferred. Mr. Ainsley wanted to speak for 2 minutes, and I did not call him forward. Jeff Ainsley?
Can I explain my no vote?
Oh, certainly.
If I could, thank you very much. With regard to the Economic Development Investment Partnerships, this was expansion even to offer more incentives. It's been my consistent position, and it's certainly the one that's grounded in empirical evidence on the topic, that financial incentives not only make the government an active partner in competition with other businesses that don't benefit from those subsidies, but secondly, they distort the efficient allocation of capital in a free market. And communities that have extensive use of these funds have empirically proven lower growth rates than those communities that rely upon level playing field incentives. So on that basis, I oppose that item. With regards to the biomedical initiative, one which I greatly support, my concern is about preservation of the money. So when I saw that the item was asking for these appropriations for the purposes of paying security, janitorial supplies, signage, and those types of things at TCC, I kind of asked, well, how much of this money is going for those particular items, and how are they being paid now? Well, I never got an allocation of the cost. I got a narrative, but no money. But interestingly enough, I asked, when does this agreement start? Now, I think all of us know that today is December the 8th. Well, this agreement started December the 1st. So even before we voted to spend money, we already have an agreement. I hope that's a misprint, but if it's not, and actually we have signed something, I'd like to see that document and know how that happened before. But that's not my answer. That's the answer from the staff. And then later on, I asked, well, how much of this is going towards wetlands delineation and design work to build a future building? Because my point is, this money should really be used as part of the incentive package to get the people to come, and not what I would call operating expenses. So I went back and asked, what is the current balance in the EDIP fund, which we just talked about tonight? And it's $5.5 million. And that's all about trying to get jobs, and we've used this to give all sorts of incentives to Amada Hoffler and Bruce Thompson. So I'm thinking, well, shoot, why don't we give a donation to ourselves and the taxpayers, and why don't we spend some of this money to do the wetlands delineation and those kind of things in the park to help make it competitive for builders. So my no vote isn't about the principle of supporting bio, but that the allocation of the funds and for the purpose for which we're spending it doesn't match up with the intent of the policy we adopted.
Thank you. I'll go back to ask Jeff Ainsley to come forward. He'll have 3 minutes to speak on Old Beach Village. And we're a little bit out of order. We welcome you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome you tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. For 9 years, I sat on that side of this. I've only been up here 6 times, so pardon my calmness. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Sessoms, fellow council members. My name is Jeff Ainsey, and I've been working in the shelter industry since I was 12 years old. It's a passion that I share with my family and one in a business that I share with my brother and other professionals. Since starting our company in 1984, we've worked closely with over 3,000 families throughout Hampton Roads to provide a place to call home. As one of life's three necessities, it's important, and it's important as a part of the American dream. We are proud of the work that we do with our clients to make sure that they have a place to raise their families, safe, decent, and affordable. Over the past 4 decades, we've worked closely with the City of Virginia Beach to create beautiful communities and residences for thousands of residents. I served as chairman of Chesapeake Bay Board for 9 years, the Green Ribbon Committee here for a few years, and on a number of other committees to help Virginia Beach improve their processes and systems. Over the past few years, we've been working closely with the City of Virginia Beach to develop new regulations, ordinances, and guidance to promote cutting-edge development that promises to raise the bar, both aesthetically and with enhanced livability, security for its citizens. Over the past few months, we reached a point where much of this past experience and volunteered time might produce a program that would actually deliver some of these benefits to the city and its residents. In those same few weeks, over the past few weeks, we were able to discuss the proposed community of Old Beach Village 2 and elaborate on the numerous benefits it could offer, all at no increased expense, obligation, or taxation to any other residents of the city of Virginia Beach. In those same few weeks, even though the information and details were revealed, several key points have been misconstrued and miscommunicated. Some were confused when reading the articles in the editorial column. Others were unaware of the incentive programs being developed to help the city reach its goals in many of the strategic growth areas. Please consider these facts when formulating opinions regarding the proposal for Old Beach Village. Virginia Beach will not be investing or providing funds to construct the project. The developer is paying the entire upfront cost of constructing the community and will only receive grant money once the community is completed and generating substantial tax revenues for the city. The structured garage is a vital part of this development, and 15% of the parking spaces in that garage will be available for public use. Virginia Beach does not pay out any money once the project has been constructed. Truth is, the city simply provides a normal incentive grant. Currently, the property generates $37,000 in tax revenue. When the job is completed, it will generate over $15 million in the next 20 years. That money will be increased based on the increased value of the development. Substantial market development research has provided sound economic model. The amenities here, LEED, and so forth will all be included in the job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your comments, and we've got a crowd tonight, and I have to hold everyone to 3 minutes. Thank you very much for coming down tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We'll now go to ordinances and resolutions. Number 1, resolution to repeal Resolution 03437 regarding offshore oil and gas exploration. We do have some speakers. If you call the speakers, please, they will have 3 minutes.
I've certain speakers, Your Honor. The first is Marjorie Parker. And the second speaker will be Robert Gomez.
Margie Parker.
She's coming, I see her.
Is Marjorie here? If you raise your hand. Oh,
Yep,
okay.
she's coming. We welcome you tonight, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Purple's beautiful.
We welcome you.
Good evening. My name is Marjorie Leach Parker, and I'm a board member of the Sierra Club and a Virginia Beach resident. It's not a matter of if there will be an oil spill, but when there will be an oil spill. Very little has been done to make deep water offshore drilling any safer since the BP Gulf and oil disaster in 2010. Congress has not passed any legislation making it safer. The feds have only recently enacted one of the numerous regulations recommended by the Gulf Oil Spill Commission. The risk of an oil spill is still very, very real and very devastating to coastline economies and environments. that are dependent on clean beaches and healthy ocean waters. That's why dozens of local governments up and down the East Coast have voted in opposition to offshore drilling. That list includes Savannah, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Ocean City, Maryland, and Atlantic City. Many of these cities are Virginia Beach competitors for tourism dollars. Keep in mind that opening our coast to offshore drilling not only exposes us to the risk of oil spills, but also routine pollution from day-to-day drilling operations with ongoing spills and industrialization of our coast. The local opposition is important, so I'd like to read the list of people, organizations in the area that are opposed to offshore drilling. The Center for Biological Diversity, the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, Chesapeake Climate Action Network, Crocs, 19th Street Bistro, Doughboys Pizza, Environmental Virginia, Lynn Haven Right Now, Mom's Clean Energy Tasks, Oceana, Princess Anne Garden Club, Resource Beach Civic League, Sandbridge Civic League, of course, the Sierra Club, Southeastern Environment Law Center, Surf Riders Foundation, Virginia Beach Garden Club, Virginia Beach Green Ribbon Committee, Virginia Beach Hotel Association, Virginia Beach Resource Advisory Commission, Virginia Beach Restaurant Association, Virginia Conservation Network, Virginia Eastern Shorekeepers, Virginia League of Conservative Voters, Virginia Restaurant, Lodging, and Travel Association.
Thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate you coming down.
All right, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
All right,
Next
just
speaker.
remember, guys, that it's not about anything except keeping the beach beautiful and safe.
Thank you. Next
Robert
speaker.
Gomez and Richard Dyer.
We welcome you tonight.
Good evening. My name is Rob Gomez. I'm the chair of the Virginia Beach chapter of the Surf Rider Foundation. Our organization has taken a very strong stance against offshore drilling, given the catastrophic effect it would have if something were to go horribly wrong. We know it can go wrong. We know it continues to go wrong. This has happened. The environmentalist in me is against offshore drilling for all of the obvious reasons, many stated by the young lady who spoke to you before me. So I'll be respectful of your time, and I won't go into to all of those again. To me, this really comes down to economic interest versus environmental concerns. As a beach resort community, we do derive much of our economic livelihood from tourism, which itself depends largely upon the environmental quality of our beaches and our waterways. The loss of tourism would have a devastating financial impact on our community, not to mention the environmental consequences, which would likely overwhelm any economic benefits associated with drilling. In addition, the prospect of clean and renewable energy on our coastline exists, and we would love to see that dialogue continued and one day implemented. Many in our local community share our perspective on this, and we've obtained signatures from over 2,000 local residents who are equally opposed to offshore drilling. A change in stance from this council, from pro-drilling to neutral, would be a step in the right direction. I know that this might not be the task at hand tonight. I believe it got reworded, but we look forward to continuing this dialogue into 2016, and hopefully we can resolve this once and for all. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down.
Thank you very much.
Next speaker, please.
Richard Dyer and Eileen Lovisky.
Richard, we welcome you tonight.
Council, Richard Dyer, Sandbridge. I want to support the Sandbridge Civic League in opposing the oil drilling project. We also sent a letter to then Governor Warner back in 2005 looking for his support to oppose it. We sent a letter to you folks and also to the state delegates, the governor, our congressional representatives, and the president to oppose it. Sandbridge has 4.5 miles of oceanfront perimeter. and it would be a substantial impact on our neighborhood and the revenue that's generated from that area. The Gulf oil catastrophe impacted 1,000 miles of shoreline. Only 2/3 of that oil is accounted for. There's still 1/3 of it that's not accounted for. The chemicals that are used to disperse the oil are not very effective, and they're pretty intense. I think that it would be great to have the military to help oppose this, but at the same time, I think there's enough justification to, we not move forward with it at this point. Virginia Beach has more than 240 miles of ocean, river, and bay perimeter. I'm not even counting Back Bay because that's tidal, but from tidal waters, there's more than 240 miles. So if there was a vessel with a leak in it or a drilling accident, we have a lot at stake. So I think it's important that Virginia Beach set a good example to Hampton Roads and the state and the country in opposing the project. So I thank you for your service, and Mr. Store, good luck in your retirement.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Eileen Lerndowski and Stephen Prophet.
We welcome you tonight.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Eileen Lewandowski. I'm the Assistant Director with the Sierra Club. In 2010, after thorough open evaluation of the Department of Defense concluded that oil and gas activity in 72% of Virginia's lease area would be incompatible with offshore military operations. Page 12 of the report I'm sending around, called Rigs versus Rockets, lists out an extensive level of activity occurring in the Virginia Capes operating area in a chart showing that there's significantly less activities in other proposed new drilling areas. DOD activity since 2010 report has not decreased, and the updated DOD report due in early 2016 is expected to reiterate the same conflict areas. It should also be noted that there is extensive more activity occurring in the Virginia Capes than that occurs in the Gulf Coast. Drilling and DOD may be able to coexist in the Gulf, but that might be primarily due to lesser military activities. The coexistence off Virginia will be the most possible due to our high level of activity. DOD's activities are not only threatened by the encroachment of offshore oil and gas development in the Virginia Capes area, but also by sea level rise. Adaptation to sea level rise may ultimately involve retreat or even abandoned by the military. Sea level rise makes it challenging for DOD to remain in Hampton Roads, and the potential for conflicts with offshore oil and gas development adds another stress level to their plates. The limited DOD operating area without conflicts to oil and gas activities also has conflicts with other entities. It falls within the areas designated by NASA as high impact for its activities. They state that offshore oil and gas development in those areas would present significant detrimental effects on our ability to conduct aerospace tech activities. DOD's small conflict-free area for oil and gas development also competes with the expansion of Virginia's offshore wind area. Both NASA Wallops and Virginia Offshore Wind have the potential to make Virginia a national leader in their respective industries, generating more and more jobs and diversifying Hampton Roads' economy. I want to thank the City Council for rescinding its support position on drilling. With a neutral position, I hope Council will stay vigilant in its fact-finding mission, and I'm confident that the negative issues involving drilling will far outweigh any positives, and that Council will soon be guided to a position in opposition to drilling. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Stephen Prophet and Frank Pepperson. Are you Stephen Prophet?
We welcome you tonight.
Thank you. I don't have to tell you all the reasons that you just heard why offshore drilling's an extreme threat to our economy and environment. But I just wanted to represent the surfing community, the environmental community, and the restaurant community, and just say that we need to take a no. We need to take a no offshore drilling. That's the stance that we need to see, and that's the only way we can address the threat of international corporations and offshore drilling. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming down. Next speaker.
Have Frank Paffin and Catherine Kidcock.
We welcome you tonight, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, how do you do? Hope you're doing fine.
Doing great.
Nice speeches that we've had tonight. I have a different theme. I'm against the offshore drilling, and maybe not for the same reason these people are. Right now, sitting off the Gulf of Louisiana sits about 7 or 8 oil ships loaded with crude oil, sitting there waiting, not to come into port, but waiting for the price of oil to change so that they can turn around and bring their oil into the United States to be refined. Right now, we're waiting for Iran to turn around and explode the economy with millions of gallons of their oil. And so it could come down to, why do we need to drill offshore the coast of Virginia? And the only answer that comes up is, the oil companies want to export our oil, which they're not allowed to do. That's why they're trying to get it changed. Which brings a question to my mind. How much oil is out there off the coast of Virginia that justifies the chances that we'll take to turn around and drill, and possibly, and let's face it, I don't know what the possibilities of ruining our shores are or anything else, but what are the benefits to Virginia Beach, or to Virginia for that matter? Because the amount of work that they're going to generate is only minimal until they get going. And then once they get going, it reduces the size of their workload even further, because it takes less people to maintain than it does to set up and operate. And I see absolutely no benefit to Virginia Beach for drilling for oil. And you people probably have already made up your mind, and I realize it's a fundamental, thing to get people in here to voice their opinion about anything. And I enjoy coming in here and just poking fun of you, knowing full well that you've already made up your mind. So with that, I'd like to say thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Talk to you later.
We always like seeing you.
Merry Christmas.
Next speaker, please.
Catherine Kildoff and Gary Medlin. Catherine Kildoff.
We welcome you tonight. You're welcome.
Thank you for hearing this issue again. My name is Catherine Kilduff, and I'm a staff attorney at the Center for Biological Diversity. I'm here to talk about the wildlife in Virginia Beach, especially the endangered whales, sea turtles, sturgeon. This is what drew me back to the area after going away for work experience and education. It's also what keeps retired military here. So I think the economic impacts are far greater than tourism. You're attracting young people. You're keeping people that fall in love with the area. I have 2 points. That wildlife are harmed first in exploration. The seismic air guns that are used for testing for oil and gas deposits will disrupt up to 13 million marine mammals in the 6 to 7 years that are currently being authorized by the Department of Interior. Second, there is no safe oil drilling. And as you've heard from the other speakers, the oil spill response is inadequate. Just this week, in the issue of Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences, there was a study that came out that said the dispersants that were used in the Gulf of Mexico oil spill actually harmed the microbial degradation of oil, because the communities that bloomed were to degrade the dispersants and not the oil. And that was a huge issue in Deepwater Horizon, as we probably all remember. The government and the industry made the decisions that was based on best available science, but we just don't know enough about how to clean up oil out of our ocean. We also don't know enough about the wildlife that's off our coast. Norfolk Canyon, the United States Geological Survey, has just done great exploration. The deep sea coral community there has been protected by the fishing industry, and we just had a paper in October published online that said that the Atlantic right whale, which is one of the most critically endangered whales in the world, spends time all year round off Virginia. So for these reasons, I ask you to oppose offshore oil drilling. And I'd like to remind you that California in May had the largest spill in its coastal area in 25 years. So the technology has not advanced so far to make us immune to accidents. So please, please think about opposing offshore oil drilling. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down. Next speaker, please.
Gary Medlin.
We welcome you tonight.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak. My name's Gary Medlin, and I'm from Virginia Beach. Such things as breathing clean air, swimming in clean water, catching healthy fish are basic needs. Everyone, Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, black, white, Muslim, Christian, Jew, deserves these things. Yet whenever anyone speaks to politicians, he must put an economic spin on things. We are told over and over again, dollars and cents are all they understand. If it doesn't create jobs, if it raises taxes, if it doesn't make money, they won't listen. I'd like to think this isn't true, that our political leaders are not that myopic, that they don't see environmental issues as black, white, good, bad. I'd like to think that people and politicians, that the left and the right, can find common ground to support the common good. I truly believe that drilling off the coast of Virginia is not in the common good, because drilling failures will eventually happen and threaten to take away the basic needs that I mentioned. Therefore, I urge the City Council to adopt a resolution opposing drilling off the coast of Virginia. Thanks very much.
Thank you for coming down.
That's all the speakers, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Mayor, do you want to put the motion that's in the agenda on the table, please?
Yes, I'd like to move for approval the resolution to repeal RES dash 03437 Ray offshore oil and gas exploration.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a second. Is there any substitute motion?
Yes, sir, I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a substitute motion I'd like to read into the record. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Virginia Beach that the resolution RES 03437 entitled "A Resolution Supporting Offshore Oil and Gas Exploration with Royalty Payments to the Atlantic States," quote, is hereby repealed. Repeal of Resolution 03437 reflects that the City Council has adopted a neutral position on offshore energy exploration and production because the City Council has insufficient knowledge to take a position.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We'll vote on the substitute motion first.
Discussion, Mr. Mayor.
Discussion, please.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, when the council originally passed a resolution supporting offshore drilling, I opposed it at that time. I still oppose offshore drilling. I stated at that time that the threat to our tourist industry was so severe, and to our beaches and to the environment of the Chesapeake Bay, that I just could not support anything that would create a threat to tourism or our environment here in Virginia Beach. I still feel that way, and the alternate version that Mr. Moss has proposed, and I respect his right to do so, states that it states that the original resolution passed by the council previously is repealed, but it also goes on to say that the City Council has adopted a neutral position on offshore energy exploration and production because the City Council has insufficient knowledge to take a position. I disagree with that. I don't think we have insufficient knowledge to take a position. I think we have enough knowledge and experience by the past to know that if a mistake can be made, it will be made eventually. And we will have a spill off the coast of Virginia Beach. And for that reason, I cannot support the substitute motion. I would support the original motion because it repeals the original resolution that supported offshore drilling. But I will not support the substitute motion. I think it puts us in a position of neutrality, and I'm not neutral.
Mr. Wood, Mr. Ern, then Rosemary.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to support the original that was requested by Councilmember Ern in the agenda. I think by default, if we vote to repeal it, then we are taking a neutral position. I don't think we need to have a vote to take a neutral position, so that's my position.
Mr. Ern?
Well, Mr. Mayor, as you know, this resolution is on here at my request, and you know, as I recall, when we took a stance in 2010, it was without a whole lot of presentation or discussion. And several months ago, this council had made a commitment to revisit that position that we had taken in 2010. And within that commitment to the public, we had committed that we would do that very methodically, and that we would certainly take our time and make sure that we weren't as quick to do it as we did in the past. I have felt that since we are taking the proper time to deliberate over this issue, that it was unfair to either side for us to commit or have a position stand, and that is the reason for my request for the repeal. I do think that the wording that I had suggested in mine was sufficient, and so even though the basic intent is there that we are going to be neutral, I'll stand by my original wording, sir.
Very good. Rosemary?
When this came back to us, Mr. Davenport said, let's take a neutral position. And then when Mr. Ern brought it up last week that he was going to propose it, it was going to be a neutral position. But it doesn't say that in the one that's in the agenda, where the substitute motion says neutral position, which is what we were told was going to come forward. And quite honestly, I believe in fairness for both sides, and I really want to be neutral right now and continue hearing both sides. We had someone who was against the drilling come forward a few weeks ago and give their position, and we opened the door so January 26th, someone representing the industry is supposed to come and speak to us. And we're going to repeal it without even giving the other side that opportunity, which to me kind of goes against my grain of fairness. And I think in all things that we need to do in life and in government and making decisions is being fair to both sides. I just think that we need to stand by the conviction that we were told it was going to be neutral, it was coming forward, and that's not what it says.
Thank you.
So, excuse me.
I'm sorry.
So I'm going to support the substitute.
Thank you. Bobby?
Yeah, thank you very much. And nobody supports and respects the vice mayor more than I do. I think everybody at this table does. But Louis and I sit down and we talk about things. We discuss things. We don't always agree, but we do respect each other. But one thing we do have is dialogue. And that's the one key ingredient I think is missing here is dialogue. And I think Rosemary hit on it, is hitting both sides. We can't turn our backs on opportunity. And the one thing I pride myself on is once I make a commitment, I like to stick to it because, quite frankly, I would have voted against the original resolution. Because, you know, the folks at the Chamber of Commerce who have a vested interest in the financial success and health of not only Virginia Beach, but this region, you know, asked me to promote the dialogue. Let's bring it forward. Let's have a discussion. Let's air it out. Let's hear both sides, pro and negative, and then make a valued decision when the time comes. And that's basically, you know, all I'm asking for. You know, and I truly respect the opposition. But, you know, I spoke to a couple folks from the Restaurant Association today, and they told me they thought that it was premature to bring it forward to make a decision right now. And I just think that one of the things that we really have to, as a city, do going forward, whether it be on the budgets and everything, is engage the public, hear all sides of the decisions, whether it's offshore drilling, whether it's an arena, you know, whether it's the budget, what's going on. We have to have that dialogue. So, but with that being said, I think what this, Mr. Moss's substitution allows is the ability to bring people to the table and have a meaningful discussion. And I will be supporting Mr. Moss's substitute motion.
Shannon.
Yes, I will be supporting John Moss's substitute motion as well, and reason being, I wasn't here in 2010 when the original decision was made, and I have yet to hear the other side of the opinion, and I would like to hear both sides of that, so that would be my vote as well.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, ma'am?
Well, it's just that it has this clause that says that we have insufficient knowledge to take a position, and if that weren't in there, it might be okay, but I sort of agree with Mr. Jones that I feel that I have sufficient knowledge, and I'm very comfortable. I've also opposed the original adoption, and so I'm much more comfortable with simply repealing that.
Would Mr. Moss amend the substitute to take that?
If Ms. Emily could propose how she would like it to read, I certainly would like to know what her thoughts are. Absolutely, and thank you for.
I mean, if you
I think
want to
simply
just
by
say,
repealing it and not saying anything else, we have in effect become neutral. We have repealed our position, so we are neutral.
But it doesn't.
We don't have to say it.
So you don't want to do that?
No, that's the same as the original.
All right, any other comments? We'll vote. Yes, ma'am?
Well, I feel very strongly, listening to what I've heard, that I'm with Vice Mayor on this, because it's important. We have a lot weighing on what happens to the waterways, to our entire economy, to our children. So this is how I feel.
Okay, we'll vote on the, yes, ma'am.
I can't help but to think since 2010 that we haven't had further developments and more data and more information that we haven't seen or we haven't heard that I would be interested in hearing and seeing. And for me, I think that is more information that we could glean to make a better informed decision.
Very good. We'll vote on the substitute motion first.
Also, we're still waiting for the Navy to weigh in on it, which we haven't heard from.
Long way away.
All right. Motion on the substitute motion first.
By a vote of 4-7, you have defeated the substitute motion.
We'll now entertain the original motion by the Vice Mayor.
I would like to have some discussion on that item, if I could.
Go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will support this because it's neutral, but I know how people will read this is somehow that because some have expressed already that we had a vote today to don't do anything, they would vote for that too. But I do believe that we all should live in the world of reason and science. And I don't know what all the science is. I know we've heard rhetoric on both sides. I haven't heard a lot of science and a lot of risk management and a lot of empirical analysis on both sides. That has been absent. But I think the key thing that we're missing, and we won't have that now for about another year, is what is the Navy's updated position as to what? And that, in the end, will trump all the science. Because in the end, that's the real engine job machine in our community, not tourism, not farming, but the Department of Defense. And it's unfortunate that that's still a way away. And in the end, but I do believe that this group has not received the scientific discussion to understand the consequences on both sides. Because on one side there's the environment, on the other side it's where do people work? Where do people get a job that pays more than the $19,950 annually at the oceanfront that the people came down here and had? So this is not simplistic. People need to look and say, well, how is it Norway has worked for so long and not had some issues? And I'm saying everything has risk. Oil on a train car has risk. You know, shipping the uranium cores out of Surrey has risk. So I think we need to understand it. But I hope when the time comes, and we've heard from every group, because I think Rosemary's right, every group deserves to be heard before we pass judgment. And I'm just trying to make sure that when we repeal something, it doesn't get translated to that meant that we were opposed. Now, clearly some people are, and I respect their right to be in opposition, and they may feel they have the body of knowledge to draw that conclusion. I've been there myself. So on many occasions. So no fault, no disparaging comment intended. But I do believe we do owe it to the larger public who incurs both the upside and downside economic risk of both choices to know what the choice is and what the risk is. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby.
And just a sidebar comment. I will be voting against this. Not in opposition to any of the people opposing this at all. My hope is just to set the tone that we continue the dialogue going forward, that this is not an indication that we're going to stop the discussion and seek answers that hopefully everybody can live with. This is a tough issue. But I think the other important thing is that we have to send a message to folks that, you know, Virginia Beach has an open mind and we're open to business, that anybody wants to come to this city will get a fair hearing and a fair shake. You know, the world is changing and we have to change with it. Thank you, and I thank you for your indulgence.
Any other comment? Yes, ma'am.
I would like to ask Councilman Ern if he would consider amending it and just adding a very small little thing at the end. It's hereby repealed, and we are now taking a neutral position, period.
That's just what we just voted down.
That's what his
Well, I mean, that he's, but Mr. Ern was going to bring forth a
You know,
resolution
counsel, I respect everyone's comments up here tonight, but I think we're trying to say the same thing, and I really mean that. I think John's intent was what we all wanted originally. That's the reason I've supported that. And the truth of the matter is, we've got some work to do ahead of us, and regrettably, our input is minimal compared to what is occurring at the state and the federal level. And, you know, we will progress in time with a position perhaps that will be something that would be strong. But at this point, I'd ask that we go ahead and call the question as originally made. Please.
Ms. Kane, ma'am, you verbal?
Yes.
You're verbal?
I hit green.
Aye, okay.
Verbal's green.
10 to 1, you have adopted the ordinance as included in the agenda.
Okay, we'll now go to a resolution regarding the arena project. This is the authorized execution of documents and transfer of land to the Development Authority. Also, after last week, to declare the City Council's intent that no general fund dollars are to be used, and also to reaffirm strong and continuous support of the Tidewater Veterans Memorial and Park. Call the speakers, please.
First speaker is Josie M. Snowden.
The speakers will be limited to 3 minutes unless they're representing the Civic League, then they will have additional time.
Second speaker is Mr. Mims.
We welcome you tonight, ma'am.
Good evening to everybody. Mayor Sutton, Vice Mayor, and all City Council.
Ma'am, would you put the mic down so we can hear you, please?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Cheryl Snowden, native of Virginia Beach since 1959, when I was born here. I currently serve as a volunteer for the Virginia Beach 2040 Vision to Action Coalition Committee for the past couple of years, and I serve as a volunteer member of the SeaTac Community Civic League Board of Directors for the past 4 years. With all that acknowledged, I'm not here to represent either one of those groups at this moment. I'm here to represent my mother, Josie M. Snowden, and the Snowden estate. And we're here because, well, actually I'm here because I sent a letter out to all the councilmen, some of the delegates. My mother was concerned with the transferring of the land because her land, her estate was taken by eminent domain, parcel 089, in 2002. I must say, Mark Stiles?
Yes, ma'am.
City attorney sent me a document today on her behalf. My mom is frail. I caretake for her. Her mind is sharp, though, okay? So we read through the document. We're still concerned with this code, Virginia Code 25.1-089, and how it applies to her property, real property being taken by eminent domain in 2002. Other than that, I'm not going to hold up your time with that because, like I said, we're not clear yet. We're not clear. You all may be clear, but we're not clear. I would ask that the council, the clerk, would accept Mr. Stiles' email, along with my mother's original email, to all the city councilmen and women, to city managers for Congratulations on your 24 years.
Thank you.
The email also went to certain delegates at the State Assembly, the staff, Villanova. Mr. Urine, yours bounced back, but we sent it again yesterday. Okay, so it's there. Davis, Stoll, Knight, who else? Copy to Mr. George Menz, to the second vice president of TTAC Community Civic League, Ms. Mills. And I do believe everybody received it, right? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. If you didn't, you'll get the return on Mr. Stiles' response to us. I thank you for that, because we didn't have a response. But I do ask that this be placed in the record.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Give it to them. Thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
George Mims and Stephen Ballard.
We welcome you, Mr. Menz, and if you're representing the Civic League, you will have 10 minutes, and I, again, say I was sorry for last week making a mistake.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Mr. Sport, remember when you first came here? Long time. Now, I'm still stuck in you leaving. But, I mean, it's nice to have a happy note sometimes, no matter no matter what the outcome is. But ladies and gentlemen, council, tonight, I hope I'm dead wrong. I truly do, for the benefit of all citizens. And I say this for this reason. Most of you that have known me over the years know I was an NAACP investigator. I investigate cases. My investigation shows that good mothers in America don't let their kids play with too many toys from China because they have stuff in them to make the children sick. Some teachers don't allow pencils in the classroom that come from China because they make the kids sick. I now found out that the United States government, I don't think they use Chinese steels in our military vessels and stuff. With that, initially I thought the great danger was the traffic. It is the greatest danger to SeaTac. But when y'all released the papers on the terms and so forth, and China on one hand is going to give up some money, and then on the other, of course, they're going to make interest on the money they give up. But on the other hand, there appeared to be, if my understanding is correct, and I know I'm getting old, but if my understanding is correct, that we got to buy so much steel from China. That's the part that scares me, and like I said, I hope I'm wrong, because that will be a danger to everybody. I have seen some of the videos. I've never been there, but I saw some videos of what they call a tsunami. And them buildings in China went down like dominoes. Blip, 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 blip. My point is, if you got your mind made up on this arena, and you are the last safety net for our lives and our safety, only way that Chinese steel can get in here, as far as the arena is concerned, is if you let it. Now, I know the drywall already done messed up some houses. So when I look, and I'm looking at parents don't want the toys, teachers don't want the pencils, the drywall came in and messed up, brand new home, people can't even live in them. And then that steel coming from China, I ain't got no problem with the money coming from China. But if the steel is not good enough for our military to build our ships, I think there's a reason why they don't use it. They want that ship to go over there and that ship to come back safely. Well, if we gonna build this mushroom-style arena, we want our children, our families to be able to go in it and come out safely. So, if you have not done some checking on the quality of that steel that's coming from China, I don't have a problem with American steel. But China, given their track record, and given the fact that the United States military don't use it, I think that on its face is a warning. Because you build it, get thousands of people inside of it, and that thing come down, you don't have enough firemen, ambulance, nothing. So as I hear somebody say something about Paris, and we are sorry about what happened over there, but this is preventable. So if you got a made-up mind already, you gonna do it, please do it with American steel for the safety of everybody. Now, we still got the problem with the traffic, but I done fussed about that once. I ain't gonna fuss about that again. Y'all have a nice evening.
Happy holidays to you.
Happy birthday.
Next speaker, please.
Stephen Ballard and Reverend James Knight.
We welcome you tonight, sir.
Thank you. My name is Steve Ballard, president of SD Ballard Construction Company, local resident and local contractor. First of all, I'd like to just tell City Council, thanks for your forethoughts. I happen to be the builder that was doing the Virginia Beach seawall, and I can remember, as some of you can, the hotels, the motels, the residents, and 20, 30 meetings with the civic leagues and stuff where they really didn't think the seawall was a good idea or a good prospect and didn't see what would help. And I think once everybody saw 10 or 15 feet of that installed, which, by the way, we finished a year ahead of schedule. Not that I'm bragging. But,
Not hardly.
Not hardly. But I think the public and the private residents and the citizens and the hotel and motel people saw what a huge benefit that was, and y'all had to forge forward that. And I believe, and I'm confident, the arena will as well. My partner Mortensen and I, we have a commitment to, bringing in 12 to 1,600 local jobs here, as well as hiring many of the, we have contacts with several hundred of the local contractors. My business is here. Mortensen has an understanding of everything here. And I think y'all will be very, very pleased. And in closing, I just want to say, Jim, you've done a great job. And I remember the first days of the seawall, we were all a little doubtful, the residents were, but I think everybody was tremendously excited about it when we were done. And we promise, working with USM and these gentlemen here, I think you'll be very excited when we're done with the project.
Mr. Ballard, could you address the issues that was just mentioned about the steel?
Yes, that's very easily done. We will not allow any substandard materials on this job. My phone number is a local number. I think if I got a raise of hands here on City Council and out here in this audience, a lot of people know my number, both personal and for the business. And there is so many standards set for the steel product, if we do ship it in, that there's absolutely no way a company like Mortensen or SB Ballard or USM or the local inspection agencies or the local inspectors and the architects and engineers of national firms would even think about putting their company reputation or liability insurance and 37 years of my own residence, of my own reputation at stake. There is absolutely nothing wrong with this steel, should we decide to bring it.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Reverend Jason Knight and Chris Stone.
We welcome you tonight, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and all council persons. Congratulations to you, Mr. Spohr. I know we haven't had many opportunities to talk, but 24 years is a long time, and you deserve to retire and get some rest after working with this city. Amen.
Amen.
Again, like I've always done, I come to speak on behalf of the church in which I pastor and the community I pastor, Mount Olive Baptist Church, and the CTEC community. And tonight I just want to kind of talk to you guys for just a moment, if you will just allow me. And then, of course, whatever decision you will make, you will make. We've shared, we've talked in either this room or we've talked in the convention center. We've shared everything that we like We shared everything that we don't like about this arena. We've talked, we've shared, but there's been a people that has not had the opportunity to stand where I stand. There's been a people that have not had the opportunity to voice their concern. And I speak for them tonight. I speak for those people that will have their jobs affected by this arena project. I speak for the single mother that's traveling up and down Virginia Beach Boulevard, taking the bus to go to work, whose bus route will change because of this arena project. I speak on behalf of that grandmother and that grandfather that one day will need that medical assistance, but it won't come to them in a speedy time because we're releasing some type of event at the arena, and we're going to do everything that we can to get there, but because of the dense population and all the cars that will be everywhere that it is, they just won't get there in time. I speak on behalf of them. I speak on behalf of a church that is extending its hands to the disenfranchised, to the disassociated, to those who are disvalued, a church that's growing in the SeaTac community. I speak on behalf of them. And I just say that, tonight, remember us. Don't forget us when you make your decision. Remember every last one of us. Remember the citizens of SeaTac. When the time comes, and the time will come that you have to make a decision about, the people who live in Atlantis and Friendship and around the surrounding area, when that time comes, my prayer is that you will remember this night. Remember the vote that you make on tonight, a vote that will cause families to uproot and have to move because they can't get out of their home to get to the doctor's office in a timely manner. Remember this night. Remember the vote that you take tonight, that it will impact the efforts of the ministry of Mount Olive Baptist Church as we continue to try to do the work that we've been called to do in making this the greatest city in the world. Remember this night, the vote that you take, and just remember the community and the special interest groups and the private investors that are going to be making off the backs of those who are going to work diligently to make sure this goes very well. I pray that when you make your decision tonight, don't forget about that mother. Don't forget about that grandmother. Don't forget about that grandfather. Don't forget about Mount Olive Baptist Church. Don't forget about the citizens of SeaTac. I pray that the peace of God will be with you when you make the decision tonight. I pray that it'll be with your hearts. It'll be with your mind. And when justice comes, and rest assured, I stand here as a man of God to tell you that justice will come. When it comes, it's going to roll like waters, and the righteousness is going to come like a mighty stream. And so, I know that this doesn't change how I feel about each and every last one of you. I pray for you daily. You work in the greatest city in the world, and I wouldn't dare want to be in the seat that you're sitting in. But when you vote tonight, I admonish you, I plead with you. My heart's desire is that you don't forget the people of SeaTac, and don't forget Mount Olive Baptist Church. And just remember that there are people who will be vastly impacted by this decision.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Chris Stone and Sharon Hines.
We welcome you tonight.
It's often hard to follow a minister.
Pretty tie.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Mayor Sessoms, Vice Mayor Jones, City Manager Spoor, members of council, my name is Chris Stone, and on behalf of the nearly 300 employees from Clark Nixon who live, work, and play in Virginia Beach, I'm here tonight to ask for your support for the Virginia Beach Arena project. Simon Sinek, a proclaimed author and public speaker, is an unshakable optimist. He believes in a bright future and our ability to build it together. His premise is that people are not inspired by what you do, but by why you do it and what you believe. We believe in Virginia Beach. Last year, we moved our corporate headquarters to Town Center, and now Clark Nixon proudly calls Virginia Beach home. Many of our employees live in Virginia Beach, and the entire design team is excited about creating an iconic arena, the finest in the region, that will serve as a gathering space for the entire community. As a firm, we have the courage to challenge the status quo, and we intentionally focus on the few projects that are truly transformational and meaningful, like the arena. Clark Nixon's architects and engineers have a long history of partnering with Virginia Beach on public projects, like the Virginia Beach Convention Center, redevelopment of the 19th Street corridor, the Lesnar Bridge Replacement Project, and the SeaTac Recreation Center, just to name a few. We know the area as well as anyone, and we believe the arena will make a significant positive contribution for the residents of our city. The arena will directly support our economic tourism engine and help replace some of the lost revenue from declining military spending. The arena will also spur additional economic development of the arena district and the resort area. The arena will serve both residents and visitors and continue to advance Virginia Beach as the premier East Coast beach destination. We believe projects like the arena will serve to attract and inspire the next generation of exceptionally talented architects and engineers who welcome the challenge of an exciting and innovative projects like this one, growing a sense of community for our city. So tonight, we have reached a major milestone. It represents thousands of hours over 2 years in design, planning, coordination, and collaboration between Clark Nixon, USM, SB Ballard, city engineers, planners, consultants, and the citizens of Virginia Beach. Thank you for your commitment to the process, your participation, collaboration, and transparency. You have reached out to the community and have been a true partner. So on behalf of the design team, we are eager to continue our work. We ask for your support, and we look forward to delivering a world-class, iconic arena for the city of Virginia Beach and its residents. And I wish all of you a happy holiday.
Thank you, same to you, and thanks for coming down tonight. Next speaker.
Sean Hines and Frank Pepton.
We welcome you tonight, sir.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, my name is Sean Hines. I'm the Assistant Sunday School Superintendent at the Mount Olive Baptist Church. I like the idea. However, the location presents a problem to me. God forbid this arena erases SeaTac off the map. SeaTac, an historic community over 200 years of history. God forbid this arena erases the Mount Olive Baptist Church off the map, an historic church, the mother church of this historic community, SeaTac, over 120 years, a historic landmark. All right, Oceana, the second biggest employer in the city, the military, as Councilman Moss pointed out, the only thing bigger than tourism to this city. 3.5 years ago, Good Friday, we had a plane come down just down the street from the proposed site. Over 2 years, we've been planning and looking at this site just down the street from this recent plane crash. That's where we want to build the arena. My opinion, that is gross negligence. We're talking risk management. Right down the street from where a plane just crashed, we want to put up a building. Now, I've read the Navy's stance on this. They're not against it. However, we ain't the season of Christmas coming up. Let me speak as a prophet. When this arena goes up, BRAC will be back. Are we prepared to lose Oceana? What is more important to the viability and stability of this city? Oceana as the East Coast master jet base or this arena? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, please.
Frank Pepkin and Marlena Castelluso.
We welcome you back.
How you doing, people? So happy?
Hi, Frank.
Happy.
I can see that you're very happy. Listen, I've always been in favor of the arena. I just don't like the location of it, for all the reasons that everybody and their brothers come up with, plus a few others that I won't go into, because I have a solution to one of my problems with the arena. You are hoping to get 18,000 people into this place, and I hope you do. The only problem is you got 2,600 parking spots. That leaves a whole lot of space left over that you don't have parking for. And I suggest that you turn around and next to this arena, you build a great big parking lot, stories tall, with skywalks going across from the arena to the parking garage. That way there, people, when they leave the arena, they can turn around and walk. They don't have to worry about the rain and getting wet, and they don't have to worry about traffic down below. And later on, if and when you do get in a light rail coming in, whether you turn around and bring it through Bird Neck Road or you bring it up from the old railroad tracks, you turn around and put this station right next to the arena? Well, you already got, 2 or 3 of these skywalks built. All you have to do is connect them, and now you have a nice dry place for people to get in and out of the trains and in and out of the arenas. So I really wish you would give consideration to the fact that you have a parking problem now. You're going to turn around and build a village down there with 500 beds in it and 400 parking spaces. I'm assuming that nobody sleeps with their wives or they don't have a car or, these extra spaces that you need for them will come out of thin air. But you have a parking problem. You want to attract more and more people to the beach, yet you're not giving these people any place to park. And one of the things that I'm concerned with is the fact that you don't have any place for these people to park. And I really suggest that you think about where are you going to put these people? I tried to find another location in my mind as to where to put the arena. And no matter what I think of is I can't find any because we don't have roads adequate enough to support it. And even the roads that we have now for the arena, 264 is it's just not going to be enough. And you only have a few ways in, a few ways out of the beach as it is. And you don't want to tie everything up with my blinking lights. I love that thing. Anyways, really need to get some consideration. Get rid of that guy.
Thank you for your comments. Happy holidays. That was good.
That's a quote book.
We welcome you tonight, ma'am.
My name is Marlena Castelluzzo, Chair of Virginia Beach Taxpayer Alliance. Our leadership and members have appeared before this body literally hundreds of times, petitioning for businesses to have a level playing field in Virginia Beach. So the question bears, is this an equitable proposal and a level playing field? When one examines the arena's proposal, there are several noticeable omissions from the typical oceanfront ventures. We don't see the name Gold Key or Bruce Thompson anywhere, but then again, the arena developer is not asking the taxpayer to fund a private investment up front, as happened with the Cavalier, 31st Street parking garage, etc. There are no family members of council working for the developer, as was the case with the Cavalier. This is certainly a startling change for public-private partnerships in Virginia Beach. Our local economist, Dr. Cook, has indicated that as a public-private partnership goes, this one is one of the better ones. As stated, as a public-private partnership this one emits far less stench than we have seen previously, historically in Virginia Beach. The Armada Hoffler Town Center, Cavalier, and the list goes on. As local economists have indicated, it appears a better opportunity for economic growth and less burdensome for the citizen taxpayers. There have been a number of concerns expressed regarding infrastructure and traffic congestion. If City Council focused energies on having the state fund the 9 unfunded transportation projects versus going forth with the light rail debacle and the money that will be needed for that, we as an organization could envision supporting this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
That's all the speakers, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Council, any comments, discussion? Mr. Ern, do you want to put something on the table?
I would, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would move that we accept the ordinance and resolution number 4 as printed on our agenda. The resolution is regarding the arena project, including A, to authorize the execution of documents and transfer of land to the Development Authority, B, declare the City Council's intent that no general fund dollars are to be used, and C, to reaffirm strong and continued support of the Tidewater Veterans Memorial and Park.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Discussion, please. Yes, Bobby.
Yeah, I just want to thank all of the council, but also the public for coming to the table on this. There has been significant public engagement on this to the point where I really feel that this project will build public confidence and is going to be a win-win for the community. I just want to thank all the participants for the hard work, and we're ready to vote.
Ms. Hurley?
I have a great deal of respect for the supporters of this project, and I know that everyone has only the very best of intentions. However, I have a lot of concerns. Last December 9th, City Council was asked to vote on a term sheet for the arena so that financing could be secured. The presentations at that time to the council and public included that it would be a 40-year lease, the developer would pay all event day costs, and most importantly, that, quote, prior to council approval of final documents, all key financing terms to be agreed on by developer and lender, and city to be provided with satisfactory evidence that such funds are committed subject only to final approval by lender, end quote. The projected timeline was that the financing would be secured and City Council would vote on the development agreements by the end of the first quarter of 2015. Groundbreaking would occur in the fall. I supported that vote. A unanimous vote was encouraged to assist in getting the loan, but I expressed concerns about several of the issues: parking, compatibility with the convention center operations, neighborhood protections. I was assured that all of that would be worked out before it came back to council for approval. Here we are, December 8th, 2015, and we're being asked to give our final approval on all of these contract agreements. But I still have salient concerns. Some of those earlier deal points have been changed. It's now a 60-year lease. USM will only pay up to $200,000 of event day costs. But most importantly, USM has not fulfilled its commitment that the financing would be firm before the City Council is asked to approve the contracts. In fact, we would be allowing up to another 10 months for them to obtain a loan commitment and up to still another 10 months to close on the construction loan. The loan cure rights agreement acknowledges, quote, much of this document is incomplete as the city has not been engaged with the lender at this time. The document will be revised and executed without further council action if the terms requested by the lender do not represent a material impairment or change of the city's rights or obligations, end quote. I worry about the clauses that the lender might require in their loan agreement or changes that they might request in these contracts. What will be considered material changes, and who makes that determination? If we have been willing to back down on our most critical requirement, that the money be in hand before we act on the contracts, what else might we concede because we so badly want this deal? I still have great concerns about parking. The city is responsible for parking. We guarantee 2,700 spaces within a specified area if an event is expected to have an attendance of over 6,500 people. If some of those identified spaces are lost to some of the redevelopment we covet, we will be required to replace the spaces. How do we do that? At what point will we require the need to build structured parking? How will we pay for it? The TIP fund will be maxed out for several years. USM is entitled to charge for parking and retain that revenue during arena event periods. That city-owned parking lot money goes to the arena, not the city. USM is permitted to sell sponsorship naming rights to the city-owned plaza and parking areas and retain all revenues generated from the sale of those rights. How will all of that lost parking affect the patrons of the convention center, especially locals attending events there? I worry about the financing. For 30 years, every cent of all of the tax money directly generated by the arena is returned to USM for debt and interest payment. In addition, 1% of the 8% citywide hotel tax, which now goes to the TIP fund, will go to the arena. What happens if there is a real need or desire for something that we would normally look to the TIP fund to pay during these tight years? Are we prepared to do without it or use money from the general fund? We're also using an additional $500,000 annually from TIP to pay additional city operational costs related to the arena. Will that be enough, or will there constantly be additional unanticipated expenses? We're leasing city-owned land for $1 a year for 60 years and subordinating our land to the arena debt. If the arena defaults, our options are to buy the arena or to lose our land to a new buyer. Who then will be in possession of this critical piece of land and part of our tourist industry? My concerns go on and on. We have had 1 month, including Thanksgiving, to try to comfortably answer all of these questions. I've not gotten to that comfort point. We rushed last December because we thought we had to vote then in order for the loan to be quickly secured. Even the unanimous vote didn't do it. There are 10 months allowed for USM to get a loan commitment. Why can't we have one of those months to allow more in-depth discussion and understanding of these complicated documents? I respect the sincerity of all of those who support this project. However, on a vote tonight, I cannot support this deal.
Thank you. Mr. Moss?
Anybody else? I think it's important I have a lot of things I want to talk about tonight, so bear with me. First of all, how did we get here? I think it's important for people to remember how we got to this vote. It was seems like 3 years ago now, but probably 2.5 years ago, we received an unsolicited proposal. Many people may remember that. For someone who wanted us to build an arena that the city would own, that the city would the taxpayers would own, the taxpayers would hold the debt, the taxpayers would hold all the risk, the taxpayers would make all the improvements, and then we would lease it to an operator who would have built it, and then they would, I call it, socialize the losses and privatize the profits. That was the proposal we had at the time. And then we went out, you may recall, we went out and asked, because the state law requires us, would anyone else be interested in the proposal arena? It surprised me, I'm sure it surprised many people around this table, when someone came in with a privately owned, privately operated, privately mortgaged. I won't say privately financed, because Ms. Henley is correct. There's a lot of public revenue that feeds back. So to say privately financed but privately mortgaged is correct. But what is important is the risk for the operation, the risk for the economic performance is with the private sector. Now, I'm not one that's voted for many private-public partnerships. I'm pretty certain people in the audience know that. But I'm a person that looks at my numbers. And I look at my numbers the same way I looked at the numbers for light rail. Now, I know that only services 1,125 people every day. And probably service less people than the arena will service in a year. But we certainly didn't have any problem, ignoring a whole $6 million study to buy into $300 million. So clearly, I'm just looking for analytical consistency in how we approach problems, and we have made promises to other folks. But why make these commitments here? Because we are making commitments here. Ms. Henley is correct. This deal has changed. And this is a question of a calculated risk. This is a calculated risk. I think you saw in the paper on Sunday, I don't know if the reporter's here tonight, but I thought she did a very good job, or he did, or who wrote on that article capturing it. It's not a big economic boom maker. It's a bet that it will leverage and generate other developments, which then will be the fruits of the investment. It's like, I call it like the blue light special at Kmart. You get the customers in for that, you break even, and they buy a lot of other stuff with high margin. And that's kind of the arena but the important piece here is the risk is with the private sector. Yes, you are correct. We are pledging 1/8 of the hotel revenues for 30 years. It's only a piece of their mortgage payment. If USM can't bring those 450,000 people a year, and they hope more, through that door every year, that delta between that payment and their mortgage payment is United States management's to pay. Now you can say, well, what's the likelihood that they might not be able to pay and they would go under and the worst case would happen? That is a fair question to ask and a fair question to pose. Someone putting up $40 million of their own cash tells me that they're not likely to walk away, because that means they've lost a lot of money and probably have other financial liabilities that we probably can't appreciate. So I think that the risk is low, that will happen. But the upside risk, I think, is good. I think we will get spinoff. But I have said publicly, because I will vote for this deal, doesn't mean I'm going to vote for taxpayer subsidies or structured parking for a convention hotel. Because I think what this deal tells us tonight, if the mayor's right, the world's greatest city doesn't have to bribe people to do business in our town. If you want to do business to our town, bring your money, make your profit, but don't look for us to make it for you. So what distinguishes the arena from the convention hotel? The arena isn't competing against any other business in Virginia Beach. There's only one other private arena. It's in Louisville. Many people may know there's only one private stadium in the country. Both the Jets and the Giants play there. That might be a reason they make it. Because why? There really isn't the fundamental economics to make a pro team work with a private arena. And why is that? The pro teams want all the money. And the only way they get all the money is if someone picks up the expense. Well, United States Management has a cost analysis, and I've looked at it. They have a marketing plan that says they can make a non-pro sports arena make money for them and bring something to Virginia Beach. So it is I'll call it an economically neutral for the region, but I don't, like I said before, I don't represent the region. I represent Virginia Beach. I do believe this arena, and I've looked at the numbers, and I look at numbers all the time, is a net positive for community. I do believe this council is committed. I think that Mayor and Vice Mayor would agree, and others, that we are going to take the steps to protect those neighborhoods from the mitigation of traffic. And we have the next 2 years while this thing gets financed and built, I know John will be aggressive on this, to come up with the right plans to insulate those neighborhoods from the traffic issues and also address their public concerns. I think those are engineering and management issues that we can resolve, but I do believe this is a good thing for Virginia Beach. And I think we're fortunate that we had a private investor who was willing to be patient enough, long enough for our 2.5-year process, which has been long, I think we all would agree, to work it out. Capital is international. I don't blame them for going where they can get the cheapest loan rate and the best capital. And all that stuff we buy at Walmart generates a lot of profit for the Chinese banks. So we got to go where the money is. Someone said that once, why do you rob banks? It's because where the money is. So, and I don't think it's wrong to look at where they buy their product. That's their choice. I really do believe that that's also competitive, and I'm certain that they're going to buy their products for the quality within the terms of their agreement, and I think that's fine too. But every now and then you have to take a bet. And I think this is a bet that the community is worth taking. And I'm very proud to be associated with this vote. I know some of my friends who say, I can't believe, John, you're voting for this, but I've studied the numbers, and the same thing that makes me feel strong and convicted that light rail is the bad decision for Virginia Beach is the same analytical frame of reference, the same analytical mind, and the same convincing argument that says the arena is a good investment for Virginia Beach.
Any other comments before we call for the question? I would just like to say that I am glad that we've gotten to this point. I want to thank our partners at USM. We've we put in a lot of hours to get to this point. I am convinced that this will be a successful project for our city, and I look forward to, let's get it going. Let's call for the question, please.
By a vote of 10-1, you have adopted the resolution.
I will now move to appointments, and we do not have any appointments at this time. Is there any unfinished business? Is there any new business? I do want to wish the entire council and all the citizens a very happy holiday season. Many thanks for listening.
Merry Christmas, everyone.